You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
It's Wednesday night, time for the Paranormal Experience radio show with host Kat Hobson. Kick back, relax, and get ready to learn. Welcome to the show. Now, here's Kat.
Hello there and good evening. I hope that y'all are just having a fantastic night. It is Paranormal Experience Radio, and I am so pleased to welcome y'all. This has been one of the most strange journeys I've taken in quite some time. As most of you know, we had a crisis, and I started this radio network to try to help us, myself and some of the other shows, be able to continue with what we were doing, and I had no idea what I was doing or how hard it was going to be. I mean, I'm great at software. I've done a radio show for almost 4 years. I thought, cakewalk, right? Wrong. And somebody who was just kind of watching in the wings and paying attention to what was happening, and kind of just pondering, I guess, as I was doing my thing, watching me flounder around in the infamous duck pond, as it were, was my guest tonight. And I am so fortunate to be able to call him friend, because after about 2 weeks of watching all these epic fails, I mean epic fails, I got a Facebook message that said, "Can I offer a little help?" Needless to say, we all know what my answer was, which was, "Oh, please." So it worked out great. Life is good. And after quite some time of kind of still not getting it, here we are. And I'm going to tell you that we've done an interview before. That's why we're doing another one. Jim Malliard, the host of the Malliard Report, leader of the Duck Pond, one of the smartest men in paranormal radio, or radio period. He has the best resources, the best experience, the best knowledge base. He has spoken with just about everyone, and he is who I want to be when I grow up. Jim Malliard. Of course, I don't really intend to grow up, but that's okay.
Well, you can grow up as a broadcaster, not maybe
right.
as a person. How's that sound?
That works for me.
And yeah, it's difficult for me because how do I say this nicely? I can get myself in the middle of things that I shouldn't be involved in.
Right.
Because of, through the history of my show, I've been in places that I shouldn't have been at different times, just trying to fix things. But there comes a point where you got to realize that if somebody doesn't want your help, you're just wasting your time.
Truth.
And then there comes a point where often, and you were there, I get the feeling I was close to getting to that point where they know they can do it, and they know they have the stuff to do it, but those two trains aren't necessarily going the same direction.
Truth. And that's a very apt description.
So you settle everything down, you get everything pointed back the right direction, and let you go for a little bit, and then we follow up every once in a while just to make sure everything is still going the right direction. And actually, you've interviewed me, but nobody in the world heard it. And I've interviewed you on my show, and I hope somebody heard it.
Everybody has heard it. Because for the longest time, until I learned how to put stuff on the stream, that's all that played on my stream.
Well, you're welcome for that.
Yes,
At least
and
it was you. I could have picked. I mean, I have hundreds of shows on my desktop right now. I could have put some really, anyways, show up there, but I was nice to you. So.
And it's appreciated. And, you know, it was so funny because the whole reason, and I think you know this, the whole reason I was in such a panic was that 2 days after my producer said, "I'm out, we're stopping shows, see ya." And he did not go into rehab immediately. He was still floating around his area doing whatever things he did. I was interviewing George Norrie, who is my hero, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was just kind of like, I have to figure out how to broadcast a show. I have no idea how to broadcast a show. And, yeah, because my days of producing my own shows on Mixler with a different network were way in the past. And I didn't know how to use the fancy schmancy software, but I figured I'm great at software. I'll figure this out. And I have had 2 people message me to tell me that they thought that was a great interview with George Norrie. And both of them came about 2 months apart, maybe. I didn't know anyone actually heard that show. I didn't know that it actually got broadcast and that it was out in the world. And so, you know, I got it out. And then I started realizing how much I didn't know.
That's the fun part when you start finding out things the hard way. Because honestly, we had this discussion when we first started. I can sit here and tell you how it works and how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to look, but there's 2 variables to this. Computers, because it seems every computer has a different audio routing and all this other stuff, which we learned the hard way.
Yes.
And what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you, because how I do my show is completely different than how you do your show.
And we have found that in the course of our working together. And just our conversations aside from that.
Yeah, it is remarkable because everybody thinks, excuse me, I guess I should preference it by saying this. Live radio is completely different than podcasting.
Yes.
Pet peeve number 1 of mine. Write it down. Podcasting is recorded and edited, goes through a horrendous process. Live radio is exactly what it is. If, like, my microphone falls off the stand right now, you're going to hear it thud and hit the table, and it's going to be there forever.
Well, until I get it into Audacity.
Well, yeah, but again, that's the difference between my show and your show, because if you go back far enough in the archives, you'll literally hear me in one of the interviews knocking my microphone off the desk.
That's funny.
So, but again, that's the style difference, because I take my live show and I just save the file saves, it goes up. It's
right.
I don't listen to it. I don't do anything to it. And so there's those differences in show management, I guess, for the professional way of looking at it, and
right.
liners and breaks. And if you listen to my show, you don't get any of that. You get 44 seconds of intro music and 45 seconds of outro music currently. And some people still have a hard time with that, which just blows my mind. But anyways,
that blows my mind too, because I've only ever done live radio. I have never done a podcast, and when I started trying to work to do this, I had committed to bringing other shows with me. So I felt like I had an obligation, and I do my best to always honor something that I commit to. So it was an interesting moment because I thought, I could have just done a podcast and not had to fool with all this. I know how to use Audacity. I know how to, research well enough to find a way to stream. I know I can do that. And, what an awful 4 months this has been. You've listened and heard me scream. That, here we are. And I'm doing it. So, thanks to you. And
I guess I'll say this: you're familiar with the duck pond. Obviously, you've mentioned it several times. So I have done recorded shows, but here's the catch to all those: if you know when I'm recording a show, you'll still hear it live on my stream.
Right.
Because that is my. I could obviously open Audacity and just record it and be done with it. But I'm still, as bad as it sounds, I have to go through the process of doing it the same way, getting all the same programs open, pushing broadcast, pushing the intro music. I still have the duck pond open no matter who's there. If there's nobody there, it's still open. Just because I'm used to having my eyes on it, which is It's very different when it's not moving at all.
That does not happen often.
Yeah. Well, there's nobody in there because I'm recording. It's weird, but I get used to it. And that's how it goes. And then later, when I play the show, I do say in the chat room, it's pre-recorded, but nobody, well, I can't say nobody on the planet's heard it, because if somebody was listening to my stream during that point, they heard the interview.
Yep.
So, it's a creature of habit thing, and I'm not superstitious or anything, but yeah, I guess I am to a degree, huh?
That is so weird. You don't strike me as a superstitious type.
I think it's just I need to see it, how it's going. Because there's audio levels on. Oh, you're familiar with the broadcast program. There's an audio level there. There's I've got my clock. There's a lot of things that I'm used to seeing when I'm doing an interview that it's a creature of habit kind of thing, because I don't want to be without it.
Right.
It's weird because I'm in the studio right now, and I've got your chat room open like I'd have mine open. I'm looking up at the other monitor, and there's nothing on it. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's freaking me out because I know I'm on your show, but
right. It's just not what you're used
to. I look up, grab that in, make sure everything's going out right, and all this other stuff, and there's nothing there. So.
Well, it took me a while before I understood how to watch my monitors. So, or, what I was supposed to be seeing. But I tell you what, I really, and I'm going to give a shout out to Frank Lee, because he has been my friend for years. We investigate together. He has been my mentor as I started this, because I actually started doing a radio program from being a guest on his show. And that led into me doing my show, and it was fantastic, and I've loved every minute of it. I've gotten to learn so much. But if it weren't for the two of you, I wouldn't be to the point where I am right now.
And you ready for the total opposite backward statement of this whole moment?
What's that?
I had started doing other shows, and then I was interviewed on a paranormal show, singular, before I started my show. And then,
oh, I lost you.
Kind of paranormal. Kinda. You lost me. I'm still here.
Well, you just cut out for a second. You said that you had done a singular paranormal show.
Yeah, I was a guest on a singular paranormal show, and I was co-hosting a show that was kind of paranormal, kind of, well, let's just say it ended after 8 weeks. So you do the math on how well the show was going. And with a co-host.
I've never had a co-host.
That was the genesis for the Malliard Report. But I had been doing some